Bitcoin is finally breaking bullish on the 1 hour time frame and we are about to go exponential. In this video I'm going to tell you exactly what my view is on the markets and what I think will happen for the rest of the next days. There are a lot of interesting charts I want to have a look at, and there is also a lot of interesting news hitting the markets which I will discuss in this video. Later in the video I will also have a look at the two altcoins Bittensor TAO and ripplexrp. So you want to watch this video all the way to the end to don't miss anything. So please like this video to support this channel. In the description under this video you can find the links to my free Telegram group and also to my Twitter channel where I post a lot of daily content about crypto in general. And with that being said, now let's dive right into the charts. So yesterday Wall Street was closed, so on Thursday evening we saw that Bitcoin opened the CME gap at around the level of $84,849, and currently we can see that Bitcoin is trading around this level, so I don't think we see a lot of volatility during the rest of the weekend because it is also the Easter weekend. So on Monday we will resume trading and Wall Street will be open again to buy or sell more Bitcoin. So for the rest of the weekend I expect that Bitcoin is going to be trading around this level of the $84,849. So this CME gap will be respected and hopefully we will see a close of this gap shortly after the weekend is over, because then it means that that Bitcoin could trade freely throughout the week, and that's a beautiful thing to see. So yeah, keep an eye out on this CME gap for the rest of the weekend. And in my video of yesterday, I discussed this horizontal range where Bitcoin was trading inside of, and also the price squeeze of Bitcoin was happening. And we saw lower lows, higher lows, and we also saw lower highs. So this means that the price of Bitcoin was getting squeezed into an apex, and now we are seeing a breakout of this formation. So I think we will see a retest of this previous resistance to test it as support, and that could also be confluent with the close of the CME gap later in the weekend, or maybe on the beginning of Monday, of course. So yeah, keep in mind that this breakout is now occurring. We broke this resistance line on the top side, but we could also see a retest of this previous resistance to test it as support. And at this bullish retest, I am going to enter the market in the long, and then we can aim for higher targets. And then the top side of this range will be the first big resistance for Bitcoin, and that will bring Bitcoin all the way back to the $86,000. So this could happen in the coming days, and this could also happen in the coming week. So this is looking actually very bullish to see. And finally, we are breaking some resistance areas, and that's exactly what we want to see for Bitcoin. Yesterday we had some interesting news coming in, and that was that the White House says that President Trump is studying whether he has the ability to fire Jerome Powell. And of course, yeah, he wants to see rate cuts, and Powell doesn't want to rate cut. So I think Trump will eventually fire Jerome Powell in the coming days. And we can also see that the rate cut probabilities are increasing, and in the next FOMC meeting will be in 18 days, and we can see that there's a 13.2% chance for a rate cut. So yeah, if a rate cut happens, that of course will be very bullish for the markets, because a lot of liquidity will get being pumped into the markets, and that means bigger pumps. So more money inside of the markets means higher prices for assets, and that's exactly what we want to see. Just like for the S&P 500, where we can see a little bit of a decline now. And yeah, I think if President Trump and Jerome Powell can settle things, and we will see a rate cut, that means that more liquidity will come into the market, and more money into the market means higher prices for assets. And also I think that the S&P 500 will create a new all-time high very soon after. So yeah, let's see what happens in the coming weeks. And another chart on a 1 hour time frame I discussed with you guys was this huge formation. We saw this rising wedge formation unfolding. We saw resistance on the top side and support on the lower side. We broke down, but then we also came to this huge horizontal level, which was confluent with the breakdown target of this rising wedge formation. So we reached the target, we also reached the horizontal support, and we are now bouncing from this level. So this is looking very bullish actually, and we want to see more of this bullish continuation happening. So we want to see more higher highs and higher lows, and that of course could bring Bitcoin outside of this huge range, which we want to see. So we want to see Bitcoin breaking outside of this horizontal range, and eventually we want to come back above those $90,000 in the coming weeks. So yeah, let me know in the comments, do you think that Bitcoin could reach $90,000 in the next week, or do you think we will see more downside for Bitcoin in the coming week? And the fear and greed index is still at the stages of fear, and this means that every time we are in the stage of fear, every day I'm going to buy more Bitcoin and some altcoins, of course. So yeah, I think eventually we will go back to stages of greed. And having a look at this interesting index and chart, you can see the price of Bitcoin in this chart, but also the dots mean if Bitcoin is in stages of fear or in greed, of course. And we can see that every time in stages of fear, it was a perfect opportunity to buy more Bitcoin, because eventually when we are back in stages of fear, you can see a lot of green dots, and that means that we're going to create a new higher high. So we are now back in the stages of fear, and of course, if you bought at these stages of fear during the late 2024, you were in interesting profits, and now we are again inside of fear and also a little bit of extreme fear, but Bitcoin is still at the $85,000. So this was the highest price ever where we've seen fear for Bitcoin. So yeah, keep in mind that eventually, I think, in my opinion, we will see stages of greed again, but that means that Bitcoin will also rise to the top side. And of course, don't get greedy when things are getting more interested and when Bitcoin is going to rise in price, but you want to be greedy when we are in stages of fear, just like we saw here. So yeah, let me know in the comments, do you still buy Bitcoin at these stages of fear? And yeah, what do you think the price of Bitcoin will do in 2025? And zooming out to the 4-hour time frame, we can see this horizontal resistance is coming into play. We can see a lot of touch points here and a lot of price interaction when we reach this level. So we can also see a huge resistance block is forming here. And we can also see this W pattern was unfolding, and now we're shifting from this downtrend into an uptrend, and we're seeing a huge consolidationing happening. So I think eventually we will see a continuation of the price, because the price trend is to the top side and the trend is your friend until then. So I think this price squeeze is going to break out soon, and eventually we will break this 4-hour resistance. But of course, we could also see a little bit of a rejection coming into the market. So keep in mind that you never buy at these resistance areas, because you always want to buy at support. So the first big support on the lower side will be around this level, and it will be around the $81,000, because in the past we can also see a lot of price interactions here around this level. So buying at this level around the $81,000 is not a very bad thing to do. So for instance, if Bitcoin comes back down after rejection, I think we will see a resumption of the bullish uptrend, and eventually we are going to break this horizontal resistance. But for now, we have to be careful, because we could also see a big rejection. So yeah, this could all happen, and this could all play out in the coming days and weeks. And the first altcoin I want to have a look at is Bittensor TAO. We can see that Bittensor TAO was inside of this huge falling wedge formation, which I discussed with you in my videos of last weeks. We can see we're inside of this falling wedge for since December, in the beginning of December. On the top side, we can see a lot of resistance, and on the lower side, we can see multiple touch points as support. Finally, we are breaking bullish. We also saw a confirmation of the break. We also saw a retest of the resistance as support, and from this bullish retest, you could have entered the market in a long. And I've been talking about this perfect bullish retest on my socials, and you could have already made more than a 20% increase. So congratulations if you took this trade together with me. So for now, TAO is looking very beautiful. It's creating a new higher high. So this could be the start of a huge reversal, because we were inside of this huge bearish trend, and now we want to shift to a bullish uptrend. So this could be the start of the big bullish uptrend for TAO. And also, if we have a look at another daily time frame and we look at horizontal resistance and support levels, we can see that this horizontal support was coming into play, and we held perfectly. We came a little bit below it, but this was just a liquidity grab. Now we're retesting it again, and we want to see more topside. And then the next big resistance on the horizontal level will be around the $370, and then we can also see more topside resistance on the top side. So these are the big levels for TAO I'm looking at on the daily time frame. But first, we want to see that TAO is coming back to this first big resistance, and that will bring it back all the way to the $370. So yeah, this is looking very bullish for promising for TAO. And we are first now breaking out of this falling wedge formation. So I think we will see more topside in the coming days and weeks. And the next big altcoin I want to have a look at is XRP. So XRP is also inside of this huge falling wedge formation to the downside. On the top side, we can see a lot of resistance, and on the lower side, we can see multiple touch points here as support. And finally, we will see a big breakout for this formation. And this formation is a typical bullish bias reversal. So we are seeing a huge run up from the bear market lows, and now we're seeing a consolidation to the downside. So eventually we are still in a huge uptrend, and I think we will see a break to the top side. And I'm going to wait for confirmation of the break. Then I'm going to wait for a retest of the resistance that has been tested as support. And then the next big resistance to the top side will be around this horizontal level, because in the past we can see multiple touch points here and multiple price interaction when XRP reached this level. So this first big resistance is around the $2.75, but first we want to see a break of this falling wedge formation to the top side. And the formation has a breakout target which will be confluent with the previous all-time high, and that will bring XRP all the way to the $3.30. And having a look at another daily chart, we can see XRP is inside of this huge horizontal range with multiple touch points here on the top side as resistance and this horizontal level on the lower side as support. And finally or eventually we are going to see a huge break. We are seeing a similar price move just like we saw before Bittensor. We saw a liquidity grab around here, and now we're back inside of the range. So let's see if XRP can show more strength eventually, and that we're coming to the next big horizontal resistance around $2.55. And I think if we're going back to this level, we can see a little bit of a rejection, but later we will most likely see a huge break to the top side. So let me know in the comments, do you still think that XRP is going to make a new all-time high in 2025? And do you still hold XRP in your portfolio? So this was it for this weekend update. Please like the video if you think it was useful. Have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.